very much. I was careful after the last introduction to make sure that I let the students speak before I came up. Let me add my welcome to UCI. I was very pleased this morning. I walked over with one of the participants, and when I asked him where he wanted to go to college, I heard UCI, and that's the answer that I wanted. I think probably the greatest strength of the program, as you've heard from a number of people, is that we show that college is something that's accessible, that we are a public institution, we're open, you can come here anytime, bring your skateboard, the campus police will come after you, but you are welcome, and more importantly, when you are 17, 18, ready to come to college, we're here, we're waiting for you, we're excited to have you. We have great models. I'm not going to belabor some of the points that have already been made, but I wanted to sort of pick up on the theme that Dean Petrarca mentioned, that we are responsible as public servants, as educators in a public institution, to combine our research and service. And unfortunately, a lot of my colleagues sort of interpret that in a very bureaucratic way. They serve on some tedious committee of the academic senate, and that is service. Well, I've served on those tedious committees. I've been trying to be sort of a bomb thrower in the assessment committee. I despise the concept of assessment and will rant and rave against it all you want. So I go to these meetings because this is what I do, but I also think service, as it was originally intended by people who understood higher education in the United States in the late 19th, early 20th century, meant service to the community, giving back in a very tangible way. And in the old days, that meant we taught people how to grow crops more efficiently, and that's certainly very, very important. But if they were going to ask me to do that, I would not be very helpful, I don't think, except maybe put the seed in the dirt and hope something happens. But where I think I and my colleagues can be helpful is in sharing what we know and what we come to know because we have received the benefits of public educations ourselves for many, many years. How many years of education have I had? 26, 27, I don't even want to think about it. All paid for by you, thank you. It's my responsibility to give back to ensure that the next generation has, or I guess there are a couple of generations that have skipped, but you know, that you all have the opportunity to see that this is possible, this is accessible, and you can make it your own. That said, and I'm going here particularly for a food metaphor because Ellen's involved, and if Ellen's involved, food is being served, and sometime I'll try to calculate how many meals over the 10 years I've been involved in GlobalConnect she has provided me, forced on me, given me when I've needed, and sometimes a few times when I've not, well, most of the time when I've not needed, as you can see by my weight. But the faculty are sort of a frosting on a cake, I think, in GlobalConnect. We're important to put forward because I don't think the schools would have been as responsive to this program at first if there wasn't this notion that there was faculties, pointy-headed academics somehow involved, giving it, as somebody said, academic or intellectual credibility. And I think that's right, but ultimately the faculty took a step back and we found that our graduate students could actually communicate with kids better than we could. But we had to be involved, and I think that's important. But what's really important in a cake is not the sort of frosting, that's where the faculty are, but instead the cake itself, the sort of mixing of parts to come up with something that tastes good on its own. You couldn't eat just frosting, wouldn't be very good for you. What you really need in a cake is a little bit of frosting, a little bit of the faculty, but then a lot of other things. And what are those other things? Well, what's critical is our undergraduates. They are the ones that are able to connect to the students in the high schools and then in the old days in the middle school. They are close to them in age. They come out of sort of similar experiences in many cases. We've had, in some cases, graduates of high schools go back to that high school, which is just a wonderful sort of experience. They are the ones that communicate what the pointy-headed academics say in a way that the students in the schools can understand it. A second key component is our graduate students here at UCI. They, unlike the faculty, will take direction from Ellen and create new curriculum when something is needed. And we have at least one present today. And over the years, we've had 20, 25 who have taken time out of their schedules, often as volunteers, to give back in a way much more tangible than what the faculty do, because they have to not just do what they're doing anyway, but create something special and then create those connections to the students. third piece are the students themselves who are receptive to us coming in and breaking up their day a little bit, but speaking at maybe a higher level, not quite understanding how to communicate with kids in high school. I know when I first went, I think it was Mr. Sterling's class at Estancia, I hadn't been in a high school since I myself graduated from high school, which by that point had been, I don't know, 25 years, 30 years. You know, I'm sure I didn't communicate very well with them. I did learn very quickly that if you gave them candy, they paid a lot more attention. But, you know, that they were open to us just as, you know, we were open to them, I think was critical to this whole process working. Now, maybe they didn't have any choice, but as the work over here and that I've seen over, you know, many years has shown, even if they're a little dubious on the first day, by the second or the third or the fourth, they're very responsive to what we have to offer. So you have, you know, faculty is sort of the frosting, but then you have our undergraduates, our graduate students, or the students in the schools, but then the administrators of those schools who are willing, and the teachers who are willing to sort of take a leap of faith that they could trust the pointy-headed academics with you know, their kids who have to be tested because we keep testing high school kids about most everything, and you know, we're taking time out of that preparation for something that doesn't, at least initially, get credit. So it's that cake that, I mean, Ellen told me to come in and talk about faculty involvement, and I'm more than happy to do that. But I think it's really the cake that we should be focusing on rather than sort of the glitz around this. Why am I making faculty the glitz? You know, the sort of whatever it is that sort of covers it, as Frost tends to do. So again, welcome to UCI. We're here for those of you that are beginning to think about college. You know, get that A through G stuff done so that you can come here. We want you to join the cadre of undergraduates who become the future mentors, and we want then you to follow their model, which is a pretty impressive one of the great things that our undergraduate mentors have gone on to do. You know, graduate programs at major universities throughout the country, law school. Number of them are now in Teach for America. I mean, they're really the superstars of the social science undergraduate body. We had the doctor come out of.
We have a lot of, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
I know that we have one standing against the wall. Aaron's going to get his PhD in sociology.
Well, no, not a PhD. I mean, a real doctor. One that. Last thing I could do is help you. Okay, so we've created almost everything, but you know what America really needs, which is doctors for a future. But now that I've got Ellen working on that, we'll probably have one coming out by the end of the summer. So again, my thanks for coming to UCI. My thanks to Ellen for involving me from the day I arrived on the UCI campus. She was very tricky. She signed an email to me, Associate Dean Schlosser, and I didn't know. I was new. I thought, oh, I better pay attention. And
no, it was really the bagels then.
Well, there was bagels and ketamine, but again, thank you.